to sharing lots of information to our new arrivals in Australia that are concerned in terms of taxation. So today's topic is really about tax. So my name is Joanna. I'm specialized global talent visa. So I help hundreds of candidates come from overseas on the global talent program. Now, many working in tech sector as well as financial sectors, and among others like medical sectors. So we really much wanting to provide additional service for candidates who's got permanent visa, and they have a lot of burning questions. All right, so I would like to introduce you to our followers and subscribers. Would you like to introduce you a bit yourself?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you for this opportunity to invite me into your channel and your community to look after some of your candidates' tax concerns. So first of all, my name is Wechat, and I am a tax agent and also a CPA, having 10 years of experience looking after individuals and also SMEs. Stands for some of you may not know, small and medium-sized businesses for their tax and accounting needs. So also I got quite a lot of people wanting to migrate to Australia, having the tax concerns before they take the first step. So I'm very happy to answer some of your questions.
Thank you. I've prior to today's call, I've already approached some of candidates and gathered that question, that burning questions. First question mostly come out with, when do I need to pay the Australia tax? Once they got permanent visa, they probably now in Hong Kong or China or India or US. Now their question is, when do they start paying the Australia tax?
Yeah, that would be probably some the first of the questions that people would raise before they come to Australia. So if we look at the points of people that will need to report their income to the Australian tax office in short-term ATO, is that we will look at 3 tests, but there is the primary test. It's called the residency test. So when I talk to people, I will get the background of them and the intention and the plan, their goal, and where they are now, and when they will move to another country, to make a big picture of where their circumstances now and what they want to do later. So I will, based on the first test, the primary test that the ATO puts out, and it is quite common to apply. So what is residency test is looking at the physical presence of the person, social tie, where their family is, work employment arrangement, where do they work, accommodation arrangement, where do they live. So basically, if people telling me that they want to migrate to Australia with their family, and they want to live here, work here, settle down, having a family, send the kids to school. They are not looking to go back to their home country in a short time. So they plan to settle down here. So most likely they will be deemed as residents in Australia for the tax purposes. So the point is, you can say when they land in this country.
Okay, how about How about some people like these? They got permanent visa, however, they are not ready to, personally, they are not ready to move to Australia. They approach probably accompany their spouse or kids to Australia, and then they will return back to Hong Kong, would they be considered tax resident?
Yeah, so the residency status will be looking at the specific individual. So in what you were saying, the husband maybe just staying in the home country for a while, but their spouse, the wife and the kids maybe coming to Australia to first probably find a school and find a place to live and so on. So in this case, most likely the husband will not be the tax resident, but the wife and the kids will be the residents here for tax purposes. So we need to look at each individual's circumstances, not the whole family.
Got you. So each doesn't really matter about the wife and kids in Australia, but if the husband or wife, as the main applicants, return back to their home country and then still working there, then it will not be considered tax resident.
Yes,
So
that's
it won't
right.
be
Yeah.
individual. Okay.
Yeah, individual level.
Okay, got you. And some of us asked about the tax arrangement before landing. For landing, that's two types of landing. One is just for temporary one. They want to activate the visa and then we return back to the home country, or they decide to move to Australia now. So under these two circumstances, what will they be doing for their tax, for their assets?
Yeah. I got asked this question just today. First, they may be required to activate their visa. Then they will need to land in this country. But because they haven't sorted out their assets in the home country, so they may need to go back, fly back to the home country to sort out their assets, their probably their home, whether to buy, whether to sell or hold the shares, all of those things before they really make the first move to settle down in Australia. So the point is when they activate their migration visa and need to land in this country, but then later on they will fly back to their home country. So I would say the first timing they will most likely not be a tax resident here, because first of all, it is the timing, the points that the migration department asked them to do, and the tax law is separated to the migration law. So yeah, in the eyes of the migration department's determination of residency will be different to the eyes from the tax office's determination of someone's residency. So yeah, I would say the first timing they will most likely is not a tax resident. If they just come here for a travel, look for the house and see what's going on, they want to move to this country permanently, but it is a short term, and then they will fly back to Hong Kong. This timing, I don't think they are a tax resident. But the second timing, if they really made up their mind and they have sorted out all of their assets in the home country, and they already having a very clear purpose and intention, they want to settle down here. And the second timing, when they land in this country, they will most likely, probably very certain they are a tax resident here.
Got you. So what happens if they land in Australia first time, where the purpose was to activate visa and spend 3 weeks here? On the arrival, they'll be hand out a passenger card, which I normally recommend them to consider them as a returning Australia as a permanent resident. Will that information on the passenger card affect their tax position?
No, I don't think so. Because
again, it will be
in the
immigration matter,
ATO's,
right?
in the ATO's determination, they don't know what is a passenger's card.
They
They
do
don't
not
look
have
at
access.
those. They don't look at those.
Okay, got
Yeah.
you. So whatever, and we suggest them because you come back, your intention is to return. And then if someone who wanting to visit a short term, the officer may ask them why, right? You are surely you're Australian permanent resident. So I actually recommend to say that it's you are Australian permanent resident and you returning to Australia. Okay, that is nothing to do with tax. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So another question we got asked about. Now they have asset back their home country, and they worry about these assets will be, probably they have these capital gain from the properties. Some of property they want to sell, some property they want to hold. I'm sure that won't be any difference in terms of their shares, but mostly it will be the properties, these assets. How can they do to make it more tax effective if they determined they will actually, this type of landing will be permanently resign in Australia? So what would be the way they can do?
There are not many ways. One or the other, the tax office find a way to tax them. But if they do want to minimize their tax, there is some ways. But before that, I want to give people some information. Is without any tax arrangements or doing anything additional, the tax law here gives people some incentives in terms of taxing their property overseas. So first of all, the cost-based time. So the cost-based time is usually for us that acquire the property in Australia is when the property or shares were purchased. That's the day of cost-based. But for those people, they already got their assets overseas, their cost-based time is different to us. So it is the timing that they become tax residents here. So before they leave overseas, they will need to revalue their assets. Got you.
So they have to evaluate that they have to do valuation about their properties. Right?
For example, if their property overseas was purchased 10 years ago, but now will be increased in value. I'm very certain because of inflation. Even the property itself may not increase in value, but with the inflation each year, it has to increase in dollar price.
In dollar price, yes.
Yeah. So their cost base is automatically bigger. That means when they sell, they use the sale price minus the revalued price, will give them the capital gains price.
Got you. So basically, this is calculated.
Concessions.
Got you. So when we calculate that capital gain, it's really about the sales price minus the valuation price.
The valuation price.
Now, most people ask me valuation. Who should they propose? Should they just get a bank to evaluate them, which is mostly the price itself is conservative, lower than the market, or should they get a surveyor who evaluates, which most time will be high, reflecting the market price? What's your suggestion in this circumstance? Probably higher valuation will be better. Is that right?
Yes. I believe overseas should have the specialist that's very good at specialized at revaluating the properties like those in Australia. So they are in that profession and they have the qualification and license to revalue the
I
property.
see.
Yeah,
I see.
I would suggest that way.
I see. I think that would be a bad idea to approach bank, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
They will say you're not worth anything.
Very reservative.
Because they thought
Probably
you were
lower.
going to borrow from them. Okay, I see. They need to approach a specialist who can give them a realistic valuation on their property.
Yes, yes.
Because that will actually determine how much tax they're going to pay in the
Yes,
future.
yes.
Got you. Okay, so I think that will be. And how about other type of class asset, such as shares? Shares, the primary will be that. Any other bitcoins and any other type of asset. What would they need to do before landing?
The shares, most of them, I think, will be listed on the exchange market.
Yes, correct.
Unless they are private equity investments, which will have their own market value. But for most of us, maybe we trade in the exchange markets. So the price is very transparent.
I see.
You just need to keep a record of the day, the
fair
market
price.
value. Yeah, I would suggest keep the mid market rate.
Got
So
you.
maybe, yeah, reasonable.
Got you. Probably straightforward for the shares. Okay.
Yeah, very straightforward. Yeah.
So, all right. So, which is recommendation here is again, perhaps do the best way is to have a valuation of a property before you decide to
That's very important.
migrate to Australia permanently. Yes, that is
Yeah.
best for all your properties. Now, another question comes about again with the properties. Their future aspiration in Australia. Some of them, once they got permanent visa approved, they want to buy a property immediately. So what is the tax implication if they buy property in Australia after their permanent visa is approved?
You mean not after they become a tax resident? It's after they...
After their permanent visa is approved. Yeah.
Okay. In that way, if I suppose if that timing, they may not be the tax resident.
Tax resident.
Yeah. So they will be the overseas residents in the tax office eyes.
In the tax office. However, it doesn't prevent them to buy.
No, it doesn't.
Do not. They are not considered a tax overseas investor, right?
Yeah. They will be treated as an overseas investor here to hold the property. And
So would that be for the tax that will be you are not tax resident. However, if they hold permanent visa, they should be able to purchase property as local resident, right?
From my conveyancing knowledge, even though I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah. They please don't take my advice as the conveyancing.
Okay, got you. So because she's specialized tax only. In terms of that part, you will need to speak with a lawyer when you're about to sign the contract, right?
Yes.
To see whether you are considered as a local resident or overseas. Preferable is to communicate with and with your. I think you obviously take anything that's more favorable to yourself. And I do encourage candidates to activate the visa as soon as possible, right? Activate first landing, and then you can take any claim. So, but this has to be consulting with their own lawyer, okay?
Yeah.
All right. In terms of yes, got you. So about these property thing again, with someone who's buying properties in Australia. I'm not sure the question was about the buying property, because when someone who's tax residents, that will be the same as everybody else in Australia, isn't it? As long as they are tax residents.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
How about another scenario which we had quite a lot? Lots of candidates actually already had a properties in Australia prior for them to getting permanent visa.
Yes.
As at the time they were overseas investor. So what is the tax implication in between? So for instance, they purchased a property 2 years, 3 years ago. Now today they become Australia permanent resident. So yeah, okay, yeah. So what was the tax implication if that happened?
Okay, it would relates to the part-year residency rule. So, so I believe in part of the financial year, they will become a resident here. So, yeah, so it is unrealistic if someone landing here the 1st of July or 30th of June. The days of starting of the financial year and the day of ending of the financial year. So someone just decide to land in Australia and become a resident here. Their residency starts in part of the financial year. So the tax calculation will be looking at part of the year that they are overseas residents and part of the year they are an Australian resident. If they are not selling the property, that's quite straightforward. But if they are selling the property in that year, that will make the situation more complicated. But suppose they are not selling, they just they have been holding the Australian property for a while before they become tax resident here. They just want to ask about how their tax will be impacted. First of all, congratulations. They will get the 18,200 tax-free threshold. So awesome. Some of them may need to pay tax in the prior tax year because probably they didn't finance or they didn't use the depreciation figure for their property. So some overseas investors, they would need to pay tax to the ATO at the overseas residence rate, which starts at $1, 32.5 cents per dollar earned. So no tax-free threshold.
I see.
But yeah, once they become the tax residents here, they first get the tax-free threshold. Even it's not the full 18,200 because it's part year, but it's not a low. It's probably starting at 13,000 something and proportion.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's quite complicated even when you explain this to me. So that's why you need a specialist. You can't deal with this yourself, especially Australia is heavily regulated, right? Yes, so you need to explain the home situation to professionals like Wechat, and she will give you some advice on that. It's not just advice. It's really important you take action. And now the specialist to manage this for you. And you can really do your own work, you know, what your profession is. Don't do yourself, especially for all global talent candidates who's got permanent visa from us. You know that's how smooth is. You need to find a specialist working for you, right? Don't do this everything yourself. Of course, you can have some consultation first, but really important, you have to structure everything, take action, do that. Okay, I've got a lot of questions about the dollar cash part. Some candidate will already have the onshore bank in Australia. For instance, this might offer by HSBC, other city banks, they offer these offshore banks, meaning they have Australia BB account with Australia dollar. So when they question, they will be in terms of this transfer of their own cash to the Australia account, when is the best time for them to transfer? And if is there any tax implications if after when they transfer the money from Hong Kong to Australia after a few days of arrival? So when is the best time to transfer cash?
I would say there is no worries about when to transfer money. Of course, probably someone will think, oh, I probably pay the money here before I land it. Maybe a safer way. But there is no such best timing. It all depends on your own circumstances. And the ATO will not be that cruel and ask you for tax if you transfer money when you are here, because
Got you.
the money you earn that's supposed to be after tax.
Got you.
The money
Got
you
you.
hard earned
Mhm.
from what you do at your home country, you just want to bring them here.
Mhm.
Yeah, no one should tell you when to do that. But
Mhm.
when you transfer the money, make sure you put down the reasonable reference tax on the bank transfer, so to evidence your purpose of those funds transfer.
Got you. So the purpose may be purchase deposit for property, right?
Yeah,
Purpose has
or
to be
study fees.
study fees for the kids, for instance. So you just
Yeah.
need to leave the appropriate reference when you do the transfer. But ATO doesn't care because assume it's a tax after tax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
assume that's
supposed to
after
be.
tax. Yeah.
Got you. All right.
Mm.
Another thing comes out a lot with other candidates about starting a company. IT consulting company, that will be a lot of a candidate who's considering that. And they are thinking about how to, and they will be self-funded first and then probably seek investment down the line. So why they need to find a very knowledgeable tax advisor, even well before they started to operate the company? Why this is so important?
First of all, I believe the tax law system is quite different in Australia to overseas. So if they probably miss something, may impact of how they comply with the tax law here, and also probably how they operate and having the cash flow to pay their tax. So if they seek a specialist in tax and accounting in Australia, will give them a bigger picture and something in warning or beforehand, before they really put the effort to open a business and open a company and administer the company. So for someone that is not very familiarized themselves with the Australian tax system, it's a good recommendation. But of course, some people will do it all themselves. No one prevent them to do it. But you know, it's for me. I seek advice from my lawyer, from my peer, my supervisor accountants, my migration agent, because I got my own visa here. So every people have their own field and specialized areas, and we are very much time concerned. We are very poor on time, so we are not someone that's having one that can do a lot and do it very good in our own time. So yeah, seeking seeking a specialist advice, I think is quite necessary in some part of our life.
I agree with you totally. I really agree with you because I have specialists like Wechat. I have tax advisors like herself. I have mortgage specialist, I have property strategist, I have a lawyer. With arm reach, I know who can reach out, and I respect their knowledge as well. Because I only do one thing, which is migration, and within migration, I only do tech visa. So you can imagine that my time is really important for me, because I would rather spend 1 hour on my own work instead of spending 10 hours doing something I really hate. I really don't understand, especially tax law. I don't want to get my head around with that one. But I'd rather spend, because if something that you are very familiar, your own work, if you are a consultant, if you are salesperson with tech company, if you are, you're special at that area, you should spend time to make sure you are excel in that area. But don't do something that someone else has been trained years to do that. In terms of, balance of possibilities and the benefits, and as well as the gains, I think it's really worthwhile to see consultants. Now, I respect your time. I will put her information on the description below. Of course, please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Leave comment below, but information here in the subscription will provide her links to book a consultation with her. We offer free community service, free community to global talent visa candidates. Simply send an email to me and I will let you in, but you have to be candidate yourself. If you're within our community, we should be there as well, so you can ask direct questions directly from within our community. And then thank you very much. If you have any questions, please don't forget to subscribe and channel, leave comment below, and I will reply to you.